Recently on my private Zoom meeting with my Patreon group, we had this amazing conversation around how to specifically withdraw your money from the three-fund portfolio. Because once you hit retirement age and you're relying solely on this money, it's very important how you take it out and how you can keep yourself safe. We talked about the 4% rule, possibly using dividends, and then also selling stock to buy bonds and stabilize in that regard. If you're close to retirement age, this is very important for you, but even if you're not, this is a step that most people don't do, and then they don't prepare well for when they are going to hit retirement, so this is going to be huge for any of you. I'm going to show you a small snippet of our private Zoom where I explain exactly how to do this and explain the best option that I found for literally anybody after doing years of research on this topic. Also, I'm super excited about this new chair that I just recently switched to. I broke my back about 15 years ago, so a good chair is important to me. FlexiSpot is the sponsor of this video, and I'll give you more information on them and this chair in a little bit. My name's Nolan Govea. My students call me Professor G, and I made this channel to make investing simplified. If you've been watching this channel for any period of time, you've probably heard me reference my new three-fund portfolio and all the amazing benefits. If you haven't checked out one of my videos on this, I'll link to it in the description below and also queue it up at the end of this video so you can dive deeper into the most simple and effective three-fund portfolio out there. Real quick though, the old three-fund portfolio consisted of 1 part US equities or stocks, 1 part international, and then 1 part bonds. Traditionally, this mix made a lot of sense. US stocks has always been a pretty solid investment as the world leader in business. Having exposure to international funds made a lot of sense 20 years ago to just be diversified outside of the United States because there are people outside of the United States buying things, so it might be a good idea to hold those companies. Back then, this was the high risk, high reward, possibly option. And then the third part, or bonds, was just smart because it's smart to hold a little bit of safety in the case of a recession or something like that. My new three-fund portfolio has all of the same reasoning as to why someone would hold that specific asset, but it's just an upgrade as to which asset actually fits that description now in 2023. The first part of my new three-fund portfolio is the same as the old one, which is US stocks or equities. My favorite ETFs for this specifically are either VU, which is the S&P 500, or VTI, which is the total US stock market. The next part of that portfolio is the higher risk, high reward option. In the old portfolio, that was international exposure. But nowadays, with technology where it's at, most companies are covering market share internationally. Globalization has totally changed the ideas of certain country boundaries. It's no longer makes sense to just invest in international companies just because they're outside of the United States. Our US companies are eating into that market share internationally already. So the better high risk, high reward option now is going to be a broad growth ETF. My favorites in this categories are SCHG, which is the Schwab Large Cap Growth, VUG, which is the Vanguard Growth ETF, and then QQQM, which is the Invesco NASDAQ 100 ETF. These growth funds are seeing numbers like 15 to 18% average appreciation over the past 10 years, where international funds like VXUS are seeing just 3 to 4% growth. The last category in the three-fund portfolio is one that's supposed to bring the most amount of safety, and that used to be bonds. Bonds are fine to stabilize your money and to make it more of like a defensive play. But if you're in any way trying to grow your portfolio but also keep it moderately safe, there's just a better option. And that option is going to be a high-quality dividend ETF. It's no secret that my favorite is SCHD, which is the Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF. You're receiving a 3 to 4% dividend yield yearly, traditionally earning an 11 to 13% average yearly total return with this fund, and this is including this year with it being down about 6%. So now that you're caught up on exactly what the three-fund portfolio is, I'm going to let you watch what I told my exclusive Patreon group on how exactly to prepare for and withdraw within retirement age for this three-fund portfolio. And if you'd like to be a part of this Patreon group and be invited to these exclusive Zoom meetings where we just go over whatever it is that's on your mind and have a big group discussion where we help each other out, go ahead and check out the link down below and we'll see you over there. Before I show you that Patreon conversation though, I wanted to quickly thank the sponsor of this video, FlexiSpot. And even more importantly, thank you for making this chair. Like I said earlier in the video, senior year of high school, I broke my back playing football, and literally the worst thing for me is sitting down. I usually can't find a chair that's comfortable enough, and I usually have to walk around or stand anytime I want to do anything for a long period of time. With all the video editing here on YouTube, and then also the paper grading as a professor, I sit a lot, and so this chair is worth its weight in gold. The C7 from FlexiSpot can adjust in so many positions while also giving amazing lumbar support, neck support, and just overall comfort. FlexiSpot also has so many other products to keep you healthy, like other types of chairs, including recliners and even gaming chairs, and then they also have some pretty sweet standing desks as well. You can easily adjust the lumbar support, and this just helps with the lower back for sure. I also really like the neck support and that it can be adjustable as well. Check out the link down in my description for a discount code and use my code YTB30 for $30 off of any orders over 500. Okay, so back to it. Here's a piece from our conversation where I explain not only is it important to have the 3-fund portfolio, but also to build up a cash position in a high yield savings account, and then how to draw down or withdraw during a recession, which might be what happens in 2024, looking at the way things are going. Very similar there. The option that I like, especially if you're just like a little bit younger, you're not necessarily in retirement age yet, is to just start building up this high yield savings account pot that is much bigger than most people would say. Most people would say have an emergency savings of 3 to 6 months. I'm saying that if you can build up an emergency savings basically of 3 years worth of how much it would, what your income is, you're going to be ultimately safe. There's nothing really that will absolutely take you out, because market cycles, most recessions last 2 to 6 months, the smaller recessions that we have. Some of the bigger ones have been 2 years or longer as far as dropping. Recovery takes some time, but just consistently dropping. So if, a big one is about 2 years worth of dropping, and then you don't have to take any of your principal out because you have 3 years worth of safety, you live off of that, there's the safety for a while, then you let the recovery happen, and then by that point, when you pull out your 4% or whatever, when it's back in, bull market territory, you can pull out 4 to 6% because it's going to be growing 8 to 10%, and at that point, you live off of, the 4% and that extra like 2% that you're pulling out, you just replenish your high yield savings account and try to get that back to 3 years worth for the next recession thing, which happens every 10 years or so. So that's kind of my thinking around ultimate safety, I guess. What's your guys' thoughts? So normally in a non-recession year, or better in a bull market, if you're in retirement age and you want to withdraw some money, you should easily be able to withdraw 4% of your portfolio, and that portfolio should continue to grow forever. My 3-fund portfolio should grow much more than that 8 to 10% every single year, and if you're only taking about 4% out, you'll always be letting that thing continue to grow, and you'll always have a surplus, and thus always be safe with plenty of money in retirement. And then you'll be extra safe with that padded high yield savings account, ready for any market downturns. Watch this video next to dive deeper into the 3-fund portfolio that I was talking about in this video that's absolutely sweeping the world and crushing it. And then also check out flexispot.com with the link in my description and use my promo code YTB30 for $30 off on any orders over $500.